Let's roll into today's topic. As nations reshape their alliances in a rapidly changing world, India stands at a pivotal moment, forging a bold new path in its foreign policy. We're exploring a significant realignment marked by a deepening strategic partnership with the United States and a carefully managed distancing from its traditional ally, Russia. This shift is driven by shared Indo-Pacific priorities with the US, primarily countering China's influence and growing concerns over Russia's reliability as a defense partner. It's a story of strategic choices, global aspirations, and a nation asserting its place on the world stage. We begin our deep dive here. The United States has emerged as a key champion for India's rise in global leadership. The Trump administration was a vocal advocate for including India in the 2025 G7 summit in Canada, arguing that the existing group was outdated. Even amidst a diplomatic spat between India and Canada, the US prioritized its strategic vision, seeing India as a democratic counterweight to China in the Indo-Pacific, ensuring India's invitation to the summit. This alignment goes beyond symbolism. It's backed by an ambitious agenda through the US-India Compact Initiative, which ties commerce and defense together. This framework aims to negotiate a new bilateral trade agreement to address what US officials call a lack of reciprocity, targets doubling bilateral trade to $500 billion by 2030 through Mission 500, builds supply chains independent of China, and deepens defense cooperation with projects like co-producing Javelin anti-tank missiles and Stryker armored vehicles in India. This is a clear signal of US intent to forge a comprehensive, security-focused partnership with India. Meanwhile, India's decades-long relationship with Russia is showing unmistakable signs of strain. This was starkly evident when National Security Advisor Ajit Doval cancelled a planned visit to Moscow in May 2025, following scrapped trips by both Prime Minister Modi and the Defense Minister. India is also pushing back on new Russian arms deals. Despite Moscow's tempting offer of its Su-57 stealth fighter with joint production terms, India has stayed silent and non-committal. Even with existing commitments like pressing for the final 2 deliveries of the delayed S-400 air defense system, India isn't pursuing new purchases. This reflects a broader shift. Russia's share of Indian arms imports has dropped to about 45% from 76% in 2009, with the US, France, and Israel now meeting over half of India's needs. Since the Ukraine war, India has cancelled or suspended major Russian deals, including Mi-17V5 and K-31 helicopters and Su-30 MKI fleet upgrades, citing reliability concerns and a push for domestic production under the Atmanirbhar Bharat self-reliance policy. Analysts call this a managed decline, where India still depends on Russia for legacy systems, but has set a low ceiling for future cooperation, making major new defense projects unlikely. The US has also stepped into a delicate role in South Asian tensions, particularly during the India-Pakistan military flare-up in May 2025, known as Operation Sindoor. Secretary of State Marco Rubio played a key part in urging de-escalation through active diplomacy. But President Trump's claim that he personally was able to stop potentially a nuclear war through trade negotiations stirred controversy. India has long rejected third-party mediation in its disputes with Pakistan, and a visiting Indian parliamentary delegation led by MP Shashi Tharoor made this clear in a meeting with US Vice President J.D. Vance. They stressed that there can be no equivalence between Pakistan, which is an incubator of terrorism, and India, a victim of terror, and that India doesn't need external mediation. This moment highlights a critical point. While India values US calls for restraint, it fiercely guards its strategic autonomy and insists Pakistan must end cross-border terrorism. The US seems to have taken note, later emphasizing support for direct dialogue without repeating claims of brokering peace. So where does this leave India? It's navigating a complex global landscape, strengthening ties with the US to counter China and boost its economic and military might, while carefully scaling back reliance on a once dependable ally, Russia. This shift reflects India's ambition to carve out a leadership role on its own terms, balancing cooperation with autonomy. It's a pivotal moment, one that could redefine India's place in the world and shape the future of global alliances.